Hello, friends. This is Grady Edwards with Waterman Media with yet another Doing the Ditch podcast with Captain Greg. And dare I say, this may be the last Doing the Ditch podcast, at least the boat ride along the ICW. We may talk about some other projects we got coming up, but Captain Greg, like I said, I know you're happy, you're home, you're exhausted. How you doing, big guy?
Well, I think you just nailed it. There's been so much bad weather. There's been so much big water to contend with, and you stay tense all day. You can't let your guard down because, first of all, the water will always win, and I've never lost sight of that. And you have to give that and Mother Nature all the respect that it's due. So you're kind of on your toes constantly running a boat, but running the boat in those conditions, especially a low profile such as a skiff, you stay tense, and we've been on edge and on alert, I guess you'd say, for 11 days. So when we had a chance to kind of catch our breath, it's almost like the wind ran out of both of us simultaneously. But you're right, we're home and we're settled, and we're kind of trying to get a regroup, I guess, Grady. I guess you'd say.
There you go. There you go. Well, Captain Greg, fill us in because I think that our last podcast was at least 2 days ago, and like I said, we had some. Well, you ran into I don't know if I'd call them issues, but a couple of things that needed your attention, and by the time I think you took care of those things, it was too late necessarily for us to record a podcast. But you made it to Miami, so everybody's dying to hear the last 3 days of your trip. Fill us in and update us on what some of the things that happened.
Well, we left Vero, headed to Lauderdale, and we set a new record that day, Grady. We set two records. We were in our foul weather gear within 9 minutes of leaving the dock. That was a first. I mean, we've had some decent mornings, although the wind blew constantly. We had some decent skies, but that morning, I mean, it was almost immediate. So we went into gear, and we had to obviously tool along and make way as best we could. It cleared up a tad, and we had another big burst, but we got through that, and we were able to ditch the gear, and we made our way to Jupiter. And as we came through Jupiter, we took on fuel, and then as we came through, we ran up through West Palm, and once we cleared into West Palm and we got under the PGA Boulevard Bridge there by the Waterway Cafe, we made our way around. Once we could run again, we ran into what is a typical Sunday in South Florida when the sun is shining, meaning there are anybody that owns a boat, a jet ski, they're on it and they're enjoying it themselves. And Grady, I understand it as good as anybody. I love it as much as they do. But it was somewhat of a hindrance to us trying to weave our way through it. They're having a good time, and I think a good portion of them they needed to get somewhere in a hurry, and it was pretty obvious because they were ripping it up through there. But the one thing that did give us an issue is a lot of that ICW is bulkheaded on both sides, and some of it's cement wall, some of it is a buffeted bulkhead. But regardless, it puts you in a situation where you meet a boat. Okay, you deal with his wake, you clear it, but the wake of that boat comes off of the walls, and it comes back. The energy hits the wall and it comes back. It doesn't dissipate. It actually kind of gathers steam as it bounces off. So you're dealing with a rebound wake. But if it was just one boat, that's one thing. Eventually, the energy dissipates. But there were so many boats, it was almost a sloshing movement of the water. And if you had a V-hole, you could press through it. But on a flat bottom boat, the stern was obviously rising and falling rapidly, and we tried to run, but because of the sloshing motion, that the prop was actually coming out of the water. It was over revving the engine, which nobody wants that. You don't want that on any vessel. But we finally just had to give in and just continuously put. So we had a solid 12 to 14 miles of that sloshing motion where we were just putting through. And Jeff and I both commented that of all the inlets that we have transitioned, this stacked up and was worse than some of the inlets we have gone in, basically from New Jersey down to Miami. And there's some tough ones, but that ranked right up there with some of the inlets we had transitioned through over the years. But once we got through it, we made our way to Lauderdale, and the family that had offered their home, their dock, and their vehicle, we were making way up the New River, and they're about 2.5 miles up, and it's very, very scenic up there. So we were having to put anyway, but we went right through downtown Fort Lauderdale and made our way up to their home. Just as we were turning into the canal, there was a fishing rod in a holder there on the corner in one of the yards, and it had been cast out, and you could actually see the line. It wasn't taut; they had a belly in the line, so you knew it was there. But we swung as wide as we could, and the boats were lining this canal, so we couldn't get away from it so much. But we thought we missed it. But Grady, we actually picked that line up, and we actually snatched the rod out of the holder, but it cut it off. But when we got to the dock, keep in mind, we'd been at the helm that day probably at least 10.5 hours at that point. We got there, we met the family, very, very gracious people. And they followed this since January, since this was posted on the Whole Truth. And they're super people, full of advice, full of cruising knowledge from their years on the ICW. And we valued greatly their opinions, and we listened intently to anything they had to say. And they never stayed wrong. But once we got that, the formalities and the meeting and greeting over, we had to address the issue. Grady, we had to actually pull the prop, and that's difficult to do from the boat. And thank goodness Jeff had the tools, and we were able to lean over. We got this done, and we didn't drop anything. Thank goodness. The gentleman there had his pool scoop that you clear the bugs and the debris out of his pool. He was hovering that under the lower unit, so if we did drop the nut or the washer or any portion of that, because when you pull the prop off, you've got a portion that comes out separately. We pulled it out. We thought we detected some line wrapped around it, but fortunately there was nothing there. So then we had to put it all back together. So that was the reason we skipped the podcast, buddy, because by the time we got to a hotel and cleaned up, I can assure you were in bed, and anybody that was listening was in bed. So, but we had to miss that one.
Like I said, I understand. That's quite the repair, like you said, from the boat, and obviously far away from home and precariously hanging over the boat, making sure you not only repair it right, but don't drop anything, and then you got to go run somewhere to get the parts and hope they have them. So I can we forgive you for that one, Captain Greg. So how about from the time at that point? I think you said you were in Fort Lauderdale. How was the Fort Lauderdale to Miami like?
Well, it was good. We got an early jump, and we took on fuel there in Lauderdale, and we struck out. We had 26 miles to a mile marker 1,089, and there's a lot of no wake up toward Hollywood Beach, Highland, all through that area. But there are also some areas you can run. Well, it was a beautiful day, but right to the very last, Grady, the wind blew a solid 20. I mean, the wind's blown every day, and it's rained 9 days out of the 11. So we took it on the nose again. We're covered in salt. The boat's covered in salt, which was immaterial. But we were so hoping, because of the skies, because of the lack of rain, we were going to have a bluebird run. But fortunately, we took a little bit under teeth again. But nonetheless, we made our way effortlessly. We got to the port of Miami, and we actually recorded some stuff put it on Facebook immediately, and we got some other footage that we're going to share with you that you'll get on the website pretty soon. But we did our thing there. We made our turn, and we headed right back to the same dock. And once we got back in Lauderdale, I phoned the transport company. This guy has been kind of mirroring our move. He has a friend in West Palm, so he had made his way with the trailer there. And I gave him a call, and I said, buddy, we can do it tonight. We can do it first thing in the morning. And he opted to take last night. So we met him at Cooley's Landing in right in Lauderdale. And the gentleman whose home we were at, he advised us on Cooley's. He's a big-time boater in that area. He knows it like the back of his hand. And this little marina boat ramp was ideal, out of the traffic, out of the wind. And again, part of his advice was priceless. We couldn't have done what we've done in some capacity without him and his advice with this whole thing. But here's the tail end. It came in extremely handy. But we got it on the trailer. We got both ends of the boat tied down. We got our instructions from the transport company. We coordinated all we needed to. We were off to the hotel and up this morning to Fort Lauderdale International, and we had a direct flight back to Raleigh, and we were back home in Greenville by 4:30. So all was well that ended well, pal. And the boat showed up at 7 o'clock. He almost beat us home.
Nice, man, nice. So, like I said, I know as tired as you are, I know it's a sense of relief now to be home, to have the boat in the yard, and like I said, everything kind of taken care of, and you can kind of kick your feet up here for a little bit because I know you're exhausted. It's been an absolute pleasure to follow this journey and work with you on this journey, and I think, like I said, judging from the amount of people who have followed along, commented, and taken the journey with you, like I said, it's picked up a lot of attention. I know you and I are both grateful for that. Is there anything that you want to? And like I said, I don't think this is going to be. Actually, I know this isn't going to be it for doing the ditch, and we're going to continue to roll out some projects, and we'll kind of announce those projects here, relatively soon. We'll give you, a couple weeks to get, like I said, your feet back under you. But is there anything you want to leave our listeners with right now while we take a little break and a little hiatus from the ditch?
Well, Grady, I tell you the main thing. As much time as we both, Jeff and I, both spent on the water and at the helm of various boats, various styles of boats, I think we both learned some different things on this. And we've discussed this at length coming home today. When you take on a project like this and you basically tackle something like this, you go into it with the background and the knowledge that you have, but you're always going to have to keep an open mind. And I guess maybe one of the things is, regardless of what you do in life, and if you're seeking adventure, if you're seeking an opportunity to expand your horizons or kind of go ahead and live like you mean it. Go into whatever you do with an open mind. And if your thing is hiking the Appalachian Trail, or if you've always looked out your back window in the morning while you're having breakfast and say, man, I want to plant a garden this year, or I want to learn to cook, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. Grady, I will say this. don't be a person that when it comes to the end of your life, you say, I wish I'd have done that. Don't be one of those people. Don't do that. Don't let that be you. Don't say what if. Don't ever have a what if moment now or at the end. And do keep in the back of your mind that someday you're going to run out of some days. So by all means, don't wait to live. Just reach out and grab it all. And whatever adventure means to you, it doesn't have to cost you a lot. It doesn't have to take a lot of your time. Adventure means different things to different people, and it's all on a relative scale. I would highly encourage everyone listening to do that. Just reach out and do what makes you feel alive. That's the gentleman that met us on the boat that had been following us, and he was determined to make this run, but he was not going to do it without us. And then we talked about this in a previous podcast. He told me, he said, I feel more alive than I've ever felt in my life. And buddy, I'll never forget that. So I encourage everyone to do what makes you feel alive. No questions asked. And one final note from me, and I speak for Jeff wholeheartedly on this as well. The folks that have responded to your website, Grady, your work and your team have been flawlessly and effortlessly, not effortlessly, that's not the word, but tirelessly working to make this work for us. And your media company, your abilities to produce a website, the podcast, your advice to me, the way to handle the pictures, the way to handle Facebook, all of your advice has been 100% the most valuable piece of this whole puzzle. Operating the boat through some of the most treacherous waters I can possibly imagine in conditions in that style of boat, that's one thing. I could not do this and share it without your help. And this was your idea. I just simply I shared my adventure with you, and then you took it, your team massaged it, managed it, and created it. And I will be forever in your debt. And I thank the listeners, the people that have followed it on Facebook and Instagram. This has all been possible because of you. And I want to go on record and to publicly thank you and your team for what you've done. And I encourage anybody to get in touch with Grady Edwards at Waterman Media. If you need a website, if you need have an idea for a podcast or a blog, if you need advice for anything media related in today's social media world, I encourage you to get in touch with Grady. You will get the most professional job anyone can possibly imagine. It has opened my eyes to what is all about. I was not even close to Facebook or close to putting my adventure in the world's hands. But you did it, and I will be forever grateful. And in that vein, I will tell everyone who has responded, reacted, sent a message, the private messages on Facebook, the private messages on The Whole Truth, the emails through my Captain Greg Parker Gmail, the questions, the comments, I just cannot begin to say thank you enough. You've made this trip beyond my wildest expectations. I wanted to take a boat ride, an extended boat ride, albeit, but tagging people along, and thanks to you, Grady, and your idea, it has allowed a lot of people to ride with us. And I want to go on record and tell everyone listening how much we greatly appreciate you taking time out of your life to allow us to share a segment of our life with you. And if Jeff or myself can be of any value to any one of you on your next boat trip, if this inspires you to do portions of the ditch or to just put your family on a boat and go anchor up for the day, if we can offer you any advice, answer any question, please get in contact with us. Go to the website, doingtheditch.com. My email address is there. Or go to Facebook under Greg Parker, send a friend request, or the whole truth is under Doing the Ditch in a Skiff on the Carolinas and the Florida, Georgia section. Get in touch with us. We are by no means experts, but we've done it for a long time. And we're two old dudes that love the water, and we need to share our passion with you. If you have a question, you need advice, or you just want to bounce something off somebody that's been there and done it, feel free to reach out. We will give you all the information we have. And again, Grady, to you and your team, thumbs up, brother.
Well, thank you, Captain Greg. Like I said, when we first started about this crazy idea, like I said, from that point till tonight, like I said, we were obviously very dedicated and very glad to be a part of this adventure with you on the Adventure 2, with you and Captain Jeff. And we certainly thank you for the opportunity. And as you said, the thing that really made, I think, it special for all of us is the outreach, the community that was created through all this, and just everybody reaching out and grabbing adventure. And that's what we've wanted to do all along. And the good thing about this, Captain Greg, is, and I don't want to kind of spoil our next project and our next adventure, but we will be getting together, a little teaser, we will be getting together for more projects. So we'll go ahead and announce that at a later date. But the good thing is our journey together and our work together is far from over. So I do really look forward to that with you. For Captain Greg, Captain Jeff, the Adventure 2, and Doing the Ditch. Again, I am Grady Edwards of Waterman Media, thanking you from the bottom of my heart, genuinely thanking you for tuning in, for riding along with us and sending your support, prayers, and kindness. It's been an amazing trip. Again, thank you, Captain Greg, Captain Jeff, for just allowing me to be a part of it. Like I said, there's big things to come. You can continue to follow us on doingtheditch.com. Continue to visit doingtheditch.com. Our podcasts, our Facebook posts, our Instagram, social media, all of that we will continue to post. We will continue to keep you updated through there. So continue to follow us there. For Captain Greg, for Captain Jeff on the Adventure 2, again, I'm Grady Edwards, leaving you with this. Don't wait to live. Reach out and grab it all. See you next time.